welcome folks to our current episode of PPOA Podcast. We're really excited today. We have Tami Omoto-Frias, who is a Senior Budget Deputy for Supervisor Solis, who covers the 1st District here in LA County. Welcome, Tami. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So as I said in your introduction, you are the Senior Budget Deputy for Supervisor Solis.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you come to work with Supervisor Solis?
Prior to working for Supervisor Solis, I was with the Chief Executive Office of the county as a legislative analyst working in the Legislative Affairs Division, and the bulletin came up, and I thought I would see if I could do it and see if I could cut it, just to see if I could do it. Not every county employee gets the opportunity to work on the 8th floor.
Wow, that's amazing. And then since working with Supervisor Solis, can you kind of give us like a 10,000 foot level of like maybe some of her accomplishments, some of the things that she's prioritized in the last, this is her 3rd term, correct?
Yes.
And it'll be her last.
Her last year.
Okay.
2026 in December will be when she terms out, finishing her full 3 terms. The supervisor has been very busy since the time that she's come. The first thing that she did was bring the state to come in and take a look at Exide. Exide is a lead acid battery recycling facility in Vernon and had been for decades contaminating, polluting the entire surrounding area, about 10,000 homes and businesses. And Supervisor Solis had the state come in, because the state is responsible for oversight of those type of facilities, and really put in some resources to help clean up the areas. And that was great, because they had been silenced for so long, the communities. Since then, in 2021, unfortunately, that area was redistricted out of the 1st District, but they're now in the 4th. But we're not done, because the area still includes East Los Angeles, which is in our district, and so we continue to work closely with the state to make sure that they are cleaning up and remediating all the areas, because people have been suffering with lead poisoning for generations. The other thing that Supervisor is very proud of are some of her legacy projects. And so she has been tracking over 10,000 units, beds and units throughout her 1st district, just our district alone. And 5 have already been put up and 5 more are in the queue. We won't finish all 5,000 remaining before she leaves service in December 2026, but we'll get very far.
Separate from homelessness, what are like 1 or 2 other priorities that in the office?
Public safety is one of the most important things for our residents, and our residents are the most important thing to the supervisor. So yes, it's always a priority. Out of the supervisor's discretionary funds, she funds the Sheriff's Department over $4.5 million every year. That's to cover additional patrol, additional services, even equestrian patrol, town hall sheriffs, just a variety of different types of services from the Sheriff's Department for our district. That's above and beyond what the sheriff gets paid to do in our district, above and beyond, because we know the need is so great. $4.5 million out of the supervisor's discretion money is big money for us. She also supports strongly parks and libraries, but the Sheriff's Department gets more. The most of all the county departments from our discretionary funding. Our goal is to balance the needs of residents and the needs of the county workforce. That's the goal, is to try to find that balance between the two. Oftentimes when it comes to the budget, a lot of it is we need to do what we have to do right now, because that's all we can afford right now, and then we will do a little more later. But we have heard from many union members, not just PPOA, but many union members. In fact, one union had said, "We watch closely the board meetings every Tuesday, and you guys have been spending money like drunken sailors." Right. We have heard that. Unfortunately, nothing that the county does is going to be low cost or cheap. It's not the size of the county, and everything that we do is always at a very big scale. So we're trying to address the most urgent needs right now.
Okay. I guess segueing when you talk about urgent needs, so for our department, recruitment, retention, staffing, critical staffing, those are like, obviously our major issues. What is the supervisor's plan for solutions for those problems?
I think it's harder to live in LA County. It's very expensive. It was harder before to live in the city of Los Angeles, and maybe you can afford something in the outskirts in the county, and even that is getting outpriced. Supervisor Solis meets regularly with Sheriff Luna, and he was very clear that he is concerned about the amount of overtime that his workforce is doing, the deputies especially. And we know that there's also shortages and vacancies across his administrative side, so the sworn and the civilian side. So many of your employees are now at the age of retirement too, that it's the perfect storm for your department. And we are very concerned about the number of hours that your deputies do. It is not safe for them, and it's not safe for our residents. And it's the overtime for your department that really pushes your budget out of control. We need to look at all the options. All the options need to be on the table. We can't afford to not consider everything.
If if one of our POPA members wanted to voice his or her concern to your office about anything related to what we're talking about, or even other things, how would they best do that?
They could always reach out to our office by email.
Okay. And then switching topics related to upcoming events, global events, if you will. So in a few years, we'll have the Olympics, Super Bowl, World Cup. Are we ready, in your opinion?
As of right now, I think that we would really struggle. And it's not just the county, but all of our local jurisdictions too. And I think that for us, we're gonna really depend on the other local jurisdictions to help us. Like, for example, not just the surrounding counties, but the local PDs inside too. And actually for us, when it comes to the Olympic Games, we are trying to pull more events out towards the San Gabriel Valley in our district, so that our residents would also be able to participate and be engaged in the games.
It's going to be tough. I mean, with our sheriff's department, almost 25%
Yes.
understaffed, so that's going to be a huge challenge.
Yes.
With that.
We are hopeful though, the supervisors always supported the sheriff. I know right now they're budgeted for 8 classes, right? Which is probably still not enough, but we have 8 classes. The department's actually budgeted really for only 4, but the board has supported the department for trying to beef up the hiring and double the number of classes. Although, as we all know, not everybody that applies and even makes it to the academy passes the academy.
It's a difficult job, and we appreciate your acknowledgement of that, but it's getting even more difficult with the demand of a lot of the laws that have changed surrounding uses of force and things like that. So it's a complex job. Tami, switching topics. In all that you do, and imagine being senior budget deputy is probably a stressful job. How do you unwind, or what's something fun that you do that people would be surprised or may not know that you do?
So I am a Korean novella junkie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I read all day, and I go home and I read my novellas, because it's all in transcribed, right? And it's just something frivolous that you don't have to focus on a lot of the sadness that comes with the job, the sadness and the stress.
Right. Well, that's an interesting way to unwind, but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And kind of in closing, is there anything else you wanted to add to what we're talking about?
The Supervisor Solis has always been a strong champion for public safety, always. It is a priority for her. And we want the men and women who serve in your department to know that we support you. We support you.
Did all departments get curtailments like the sheriff's department, or is
The sheriff's department did not get curtailment.
They were not part of that.
They were not part of the curtailment, because
Okay.
the department's carrying a deficit.
Right.
So they did not.
They were exempt from those
Exactly.
curtailments. Okay.
Yeah, so none of the vacancies came from the sheriff's department. None of the cuts came from the sheriff's department.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. Thank you for clarifying. Well, that about wraps it up for us. Again, we appreciate you watching our POPA podcast, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.